Welcome to another week in high school sports. I'm Teresa Whipple here with Steve Willits, and we are almost at the end of the season already.
Regular season ends for basketball on Monday, and everything else is either already into postseason or having wrapped up already, which we'll talk about here in a
Yeah,
moment.
we'll get to that in a minute. So we're going to start with wrestling now.
We are, yeah. Wrestling had their sub-regional tournament over the weekend, and this is where wrestlers try to qualify to get to regionals next week, which if they do well there, they go on to state the following week. And the two teams that had the most success for us this week, not a big surprise, Edmonds-Woodway and Meadowdale. They took place in a 10-team sub-regional over at Edmonds-Woodway High School. And as far as the team points were concerned, Edmonds-Woodway finished in first, Meadowdale finished in second, and a handful of wrestlers from both schools moving on to next week's regionals. Not even going to try to list all the names because there were quite a few, but certainly congratulations to all those wrestlers. And also want to mention that a few of the Lynnwood wrestlers also making it into the next round. So that will take place at Inglemore High School over in Bothell next Saturday. Meanwhile, the local girls wrestlers will be heading up to Cedro-Woolley on Saturday to also try to compete and get to the state tournament in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that.
Very good. Always an exciting time when we get toward MAC Classic.
It's a big deal.
Yes, it is. All right. And so now, speaking of teams that have finished their season, tell me more.
We're going to talk a little cheerleading. It was the state championships down in Battleground, Washington, right outside of Vancouver over the weekend at Battleground High School. And 3 of our local schools competed down there. And they have different classifications based on your school size and also the size of your cheer team. So it's kind of a mouthful here, but in the 2A, 3A non-tumbling medium category, 2 of our schools finished in the top 4 in the state. Lynnwood, second place overall, and we just had a couple of their young ladies in here not too long ago. And then Meadowdale finished 4th in that category, and in case anybody cares, Stillicum won the title for that category, and Toppenish took 3rd. So again, congratulations to both the Royals and the Mavericks. And then the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, they competed in the 1A, 2A non-tumbling small category. Smaller group of cheerleaders out on the mat. And the Hawks, who had to wait until the very final competition leading up to state just to qualify, went down and took 4th place overall, finishing behind River Ridge, who won the title. Same team that defeated them 2 years ago for the championship. So we thought we'd bring a few of the members of the Mountlake Terrace Hawks cheer squad into the studio, just fresh from getting back from Battleground. They got back in at about midnight last night. Here's the interview we had with Lillianna and Bella. The Washington State cheerleading competition that took place over the weekend, the championships down in Battleground, Washington, right outside of Vancouver. And joining us right now, 2 of the members from the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, a team that finished 4th in state in their category. Very nicely done, ladies. 2 of the juniors on the team. We've got Bella Garcia and Lillianna Garza, both juniors, so both will be back next year, hopefully, to do even better. And I guess we should just start off by asking, and Bella, I'll go with you. 4th place, satisfied with the results?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't easy getting here. It was never consistent. There was always things coming up. There was injuries. Just a whole lot of changes to our routine. So it was really hard to tell exactly, what issues we'd have per comp. But I really do feel like we all gave it out what we had on the mat, and I'm very satisfied with 4th.
And Lillianna, this isn't necessarily something that was guaranteed for you anyway, right? You have to have a qualifying score to get to state. When did you qualify?
We qualified at the last qualifier.
So the very last moment.
The very last moment, we were all very shocked to hear our name get called. It was a very emotional moment.
And how much did you qualify by?
We qualified by half a point.
By half a point. So the slightest little change of a judge's decision could have changed the complexion of your whole weekend.
For sure.
So kind of a big deal. Bella, you mentioned it a minute ago, the injury thing. And we think of, in sports, there's 5 people on a basketball court. So if one goes down, you put the next one in off the bench. It doesn't quite work that way when you're putting routines together for a cheer squad. That changes the numbers, right? You don't have somebody on the bench, so you have to change the whole routine for the most part, right?
Oh, yeah.
So how difficult is it when you start having injuries play into the equation and you have to start moving things around a little bit?
So sometimes, depending on who it is that's injured, it's a little easier to have someone fill in their position. But unfortunately, we had our back spot, Marissa. She was injured on a break or a trip over winter break, and we didn't have anyone to replace her, so we had 11 on the mat. So we just we had to make do without her.
And you're also competing in competitions based on size of the cheer squad as well, right? So if you drop below a certain number, does that change the category you're in, Lillianna, or did it not this time around?
It depends. So we're already small. So we walk on the mat with 12 people. We're considered small, but there's no category lower than that.
So you could have gone down to 7 or 8 or 9, and you're still in the same category then. The other thing I'm kind of curious about, when you have so many moving parts on a mat, when you're in the moment and you're doing the competition, and it's what, 2.5 minutes? Is that usually the routine? Yeah. When you're doing a 2.5 minute routine, do you realize as you're going along whether or not you're crushing it or not, or is it kind of, because I mean, again, you might be doing your part right and somebody else off to your right or your left outside of your peripheral might have made a huge mistake that could cost your team points. And maybe Lillianna, I'll start with you. Do you know in the moment how things are going, or is it kind of afterwards when you get together with the other team members that they tell you?
Well, I'm kind of more above everybody because I'm a flyer, so like I usually I'll go up there and I'll like think, oh shoot, this isn't gonna work and then I'll like fall out of it and I'm like, oh, there goes that one. And then but like I could fall, or the next group next to us could fall, and it could just be an amazing performance even though we had those falls.
So Bella, it kind of depends on your position on the mat then, right? So from where you're located, you have a better grasp of what's going on then, it sounds like.
Right, so I'm on the mat and I'm right behind Liliana's stunt group. So I'm able to see the other stunt group in my peripheral, and I can't see how sturdy they are or anything, but I can see if the flyer goes down or if we're off a count or something. So I have a general idea while we're there how it's going.
So how did you feel it was going during your 2.5 minutes over the weekend?
I did notice some mistakes that could have been fixed, but overall, I walked off that mat and I was very, very pleased with how we performed.
Excellent. And song or songs, what did we perform to, Lillianna?
We performed to a lot of songs. So like
kind of a mashup?
We kind of mash them all together and make it sound cool. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite song or a favorite part of the routine then where it kind of gets you going a little more than others, or?
Ooh, I like the dance.
I do like the dance.
That's like towards the very end.
Yeah,
but
I like the second half of the routine, which is like our dance and our pyramid.
Okay, so there are different parts of that we enjoy as well. Now tell me a little bit about the actual trip itself, because this is one of those situations where Battleground isn't exactly right down the street. Yeah. It's down by Vancouver, Washington. You're performing on Saturday, and you only get to perform one time, so it's not as though you're performing throughout the day. Your performance wasn't until closer to 4 o'clock in the evening or late afternoon. Did you go down early? What was the trip like?
Some of us left Friday night to go to our hotel, and then some of us left Saturday morning before we performed. So we didn't have to be at the school until 1 o'clock. So half of us stayed at the hotel, and then a few of us rode up Saturday morning.
And the two of you went Friday night then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we went together.
So was that kind of a fun chance to bond a little bit, Bella? What kind of activities were going on?
I came straight from the Meadowdale game. Terrace was playing them. So it was kind of fun to just be there, and then, I had to rush home and hit the way to Battleground. But no, it was fun. I'm pretty familiar with Liliana's family, so it's kind of nice to be with you guys again.
And when you're at a competition like this, are you interacting with other teams? Do you get to know some of the other girls or guys for that matter too? But what kind of interaction are there between the schools?
It really depends. I would say just the Terrace squad in general. We're very close to the Lynnwood cheer squad. We had a camp with them back in August, I think it was, and so that really brought us close together. So it was kind of fun to see, we're rival schools, but we were able to get along on another note. And so while we're there, we don't really see them as rivals. Yeah. They're just friends of ours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always nice to be able to catch up and meet with other teams.
And while you're there, Lillianna, do you get a chance to watch the event for the most part? Or are you watching other teams perform? Or?
I do watch a lot of the other teams perform. My mom records our competition so that we can watch them later and see like how their routines played out, because a lot of the time we're in warm-ups or we're performing when we see that, when they're on, so we don't get to see them.
And we should point out, Mom is one of the assistant coaches on the team, right? So what's that like for you? Is it kind of a fun experience, mother-daughter?
It's fun. She's harder on me than she is on the other girls, but she definitely knows what's going on and like what I need to do, and she knows not to push me too hard, but she also knows that I need to be pushed. So. And
Bella, how important is the coaching? I know Coach Jessica's been at it for a while now. What does she bring to the table, and what is she able to help you with the most?
I really do think it depends who you ask, but overall, it's amazing how well we all work with Coach Jess. I mean, we're all just able to get along so well, and it does truly feel like a little family.
It does.
Even like her family, like her kids have gone along with us really well, and it's just everything from her work ethic to just seeing her as a role model figure in general. I really do see her helping our team immensely.
And what kind of a team is this in terms of age group? I mean, do we have a lot of underclassmen who are coming back next year with the two of you, or is it a rebuild team next year? What are we looking at?
I guess it's kind of half and half. We have a lot of underclassmen coming back, but we also are losing quite a few people. So like we're losing some really strong bases and some really strong back spots and a really good flyer. But we hope to get new girls out there and get them up to those strengths.
And as far as preparing for the next year, when does that start? I mean, are
After
there
spring break, we have tryouts.
camps and tryouts right after that, and then
after that, and then we'll practice from the week after tryouts all the way through
Straight to football season.
straight to football season, and then
it's a 12-month-a-year sport pretty much these days.
it is.
Yeah.
So for the two of you, was there a favorite moment of the season that you enjoyed best, or? And it doesn't have to necessarily be the winter season. It could be something from the fall, or I'm sure qualifying's right up there, right?
Oh, yes.
State is up there, maybe homecoming. Do you have a favorite moment?
In terms for me, it never felt like there was a dull moment in the entire cheer season. Definitely a highlight was homecoming. I was on the homecoming court, and so it was really cool just to see, like all the support from friends, and of course leading up to the homecoming assembly and the homecoming football game and homecoming itself. That was a really exciting time, but also qualifying for state was
Amazing.
That was unlike anything else. Yeah.
Lillianna, does that have to be your number one moment too then, the qualifying part of it? Or
I think qualifying would be my number one, but a close second would probably be our first competition. Like, we went out there and we just, like, gave it all we got, and it was probably our best performance we've ever had.
the first competition?
The first competition.
Wow, okay. So a lot of fun had this year by this team, and it all seems to have paid off all the way to the state championships where you took fourth. Again, congratulations, and we should also point out Monday, final regular season home game of the year for the Mountlake Terrace boys basketball team, and it looks like they're also going to have a home basketball game later on in the week too during the playoffs, and perhaps the two of you, we're hoping, might even be cheering all the way into Yakima in March when they go to the state championship. So
That would be fun.
stay tuned for that. So Lillianna, Bella, congratulations on a great cheer season,
you.
and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
We've talked about this before, but the dedication of the cheer squads and the amount of time and injuries sometimes they
The
suffer.
injury risk is huge, and
Yeah.
I've talked to physicians in the past who have told me that per capita, they see more cheer squad members than they do any other sport. I mean, the stunting and having girls being held up in the air and dropping into somebody's arms, and the tumbling element of it, and not only tumbling, but tumbling around other people who are in the process of moving around. It's a dangerous sport. So I mean, it's not what we think of when back in my day, back when it was, here are a couple pom poms and go around and jump up and down and
Right.
cheer on your team. It's become a competitive activity, and a tough one at that.
Yeah. So congratulations to
Absolutely.
them and to the other cheer squads from our school that did so well.
Pretty cool that we had 3 teams
Yeah.
all finish in the top 4 in their category. That's
Yeah,
a big deal.
Really, really great. And now I guess we're moving on to basketball, yes.
We are, and as we mentioned earlier, basketball season does wrap up on Monday, the regular season anyway. All 8 of our local schools, or all 8 of our local teams, 4 schools, boys and girls each, all will be playing into a district tournament of some sort later on in the week. But we did want to get you caught up on what's been taking place over the past weekend, or the past week, mostly from Friday night. We'll start off with a doubleheader over at the stable at Middledale High School on Friday. I always like the doubleheaders when the boys and the girls play in the same gym at back-to-back. It's just a chance for their fan bases to see both teams. We don't get to see a whole lot of that in Wesco, but it did happen on Friday night, and it was a split. The girls defeating the Meadowdale girls defeating Mountlake Terrace 52-28, and in that game, Lily Williams was the leading scorer. And while I'm talking about Meadowdale, I do want to give them a nice little shout out too. They had 2 victories this week over Edmonds School District teams. The girls were also over at Lynnwood High School on Tuesday night, a game in which they defeated Lynnwood 72-56. In that game, Alicia Morrison, Lily Williams, Keisha Stark, and Fatou Jayte scored 69 of the 72 points.
Wow.
All but 3. And I should also mention, all 3 are underclassmen. So Meadowdale could be a pretty solid squad. And from that game in particular, we're going to give a Player of the Week shirt to Alicia Morrison. We've had her in studio before. We've talked to her. She had, 5 3-pointers in the first half alone. 3 in the first quarter, 2 in the second, and really was instrumental in putting together a double-digit lead by the half that Lynnwood just couldn't overcome. So, Alicia, we finally got you a shirt. Enjoy this. We'll get it out to you. But getting back to Friday night, the second game of the doubleheader, Mountlake Terrace boys defeating Meadowdale 63-43. Mason Peterson with 13 points in that game to go along with a 23-point night he had against Archbishop Murphy in a victory on Wednesday. So the Hawks are rolling around rather nicely right now as they get ready for district action. And Meadowdale boys did have one good moment this week. We don't want to make it all about their loss on Friday night. They overcame a 10-point halftime deficit to Lynnwood to come from behind and win 67-59, a game in which Nick Buckley had 20 points to lead the Mavericks. So great job from him. Now we swing on over and we talk Edmonds-Woodway for a moment. The girls defeated Shorewood 50-19 on Friday. And in that game, Adrienne Poling had 18 points, almost outscoring the Thunderbirds by herself.
Yeah.
So Edmonds-Woodway girls still looking to do something and make some noise in the district playoffs. And the boys earlier in the week had a sweep of the Shoreline schools. They were able to defeat Shorecrest High School on Tuesday night. And then on Thursday night, it was senior night over at Edmonds-Woodway. And they knocked off Shorewood 76-59. In that game, Madoon Bull had 23 points, and he's generally the scoring leader for the Warriors pretty much on a nightly basis. Not always the case, but for the most part. But we're not going to recognize Madoon as our Player of the Week because it was senior night. I wanted to take a senior and put him into the equation. And Errol Richards had a 17-point game. Errol, kind of a role player on that team, does a little bit of everything, does a lot of the dirty work down low, and I think probably his biggest scoring output for the year. I'm not sure on that, but not used to seeing him with a 17-point performance. So for him, on his senior night at Edmonds-Woodway, to go out and put together such a great game and to help his team to victory, we're going to give Errol our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week t-shirt. So Errol, we've got one of these coming your way. Madoon, I think we named him Player of the Week once last year, and I have a feeling he's going to get another shirt from us before it's all said and done. So we're going to put him on the side on this one and give Errol his due, as the seniors had a nice career there and went out on a high note as far as for the regular season anyway. And then one last game I want to mention from Friday, the Lynnwood Royals boys falling behind Archbishop Murphy by 9 at the end of the first quarter. They shut them out in the second quarter, take the lead at half, and then go on to a 45-43 victory. The Royals are having their best season in over a decade, so we thought it was time to bring some of them in and talk to them about not only their season, but what the expectations are going into district playoffs this week. So here's the interview we did with the Lynnwood Royals. The Lynnwood Royals boys basketball team is currently in the midst of their best season in over a decade. One regular season game to go, and that is Monday night at Shorecrest. And then it's on to the district playoffs. And joining us right now, 3 of the members from that team. Starting over on the far side there, we have 2 of our seniors. We have Carson Speegle and Jayden Acosta. And then the junior, the youngster, Gabe Newson with us. Guys, first of all, congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish this year. Let's start off by talking about Friday night, a nice victory for you, and really kind of ensuring that you guys will have your best win total in over a decade. You guys have now had 7 wins to 6 losses in league play. And Carson, this one wasn't easy. You guys were trailing Archbishop Murphy by 9 points at the end of the first quarter, and then you guys pitched a shutout in the second quarter. You didn't allow a single point. Did the team do something different, or is it just kind of the way basketball kind of ebbs and flows sometimes?
No, I think our pressure just got to them in that quarter. We just played hard defense, had our hands up the whole time, got out to the shooters that we marked. And it was just overall like a great effort that quarter to like just hold a team to 0 points in a varsity basketball game.
And you got the victory. And Jayden, we should ask also, this is a team that it feels like you guys are constantly either up by 10 or you're down by 10, and sometimes the team that has the lead doesn't necessarily win. We saw that earlier in the week with Meadowdale where you guys blew the lead. This time you flipped the script. So Jayden, for you guys, when you're down by 9 points at the end of a first quarter, is there a panic button that gets hit, or how do you guys try to keep your composure?
I mean, we're always composed, you know. It doesn't matter the score. It's only a couple buckets, but it's a lot easier to play when you're down because you're able to, you know, take risks and jump for balls or do extra things that you wouldn't normally do if you're up. You know, it's easier to play when you're down.
So getting a shutout for a quarter, is that kind of a big deal, Gabe, for a team? I mean, do you guys talk about that? Did you know you pitched the shutout?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Zero points
is
for a
pretty
quarter.
good. That's
I looked
pretty
up
good.
and I was like, wait, they haven't scored a point yet.
You don't get that every day.
Yeah.
Well, and talk a little bit about this team, because it does feel like it's kind of a hot and cold scenario this year. You guys, every game you play is pretty much right down to the wire. There aren't a lot of blowouts on your schedule this year. Fun to play in those kind of games, Gabe?
Oh, it's great. It gets loud when you got a big old crowd. It gets loud. And it's great.
And maybe one of the louder crowds I've seen all year was at Mountlake Terrace a few weeks ago. Jayden, I'd be remiss if I don't ask you about this. So we're going to go ahead and point this out right now because we mentioned it that week. But since he's here in the studio, you were the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week for your victory over Mountlake Terrace.
yes, sir.
So we're going to go ahead and give you this shirt right now.
Appreciate it.
And we need to talk about that game real quick. Final second of the game, and you guys hadn't beaten Mountlake Terrace, I think, in 18 tries. I think it dated back 11 years. So I know it's a big deal for you guys. You hit a game-winning three in the corner with 2 seconds to go. Tell me a little bit about the play and how it went down.
I was on the opposite block that Jay was on, low block, and then Anthony Williams was high block, and he bricked the shot. And I told Ant before he bricked it, I said, push the ball if you get it. You know, Jerry trailed.
So he gets a rebound from a Mountlake Terrace free throw with about 6
from
seconds to go,
Mountlake
right?
Terrace.
Yeah.
Jerry trailed for some reason behind Ant. So both of us were on this side. So I don't remember his name, number 15 freshman. Mountlake Terrace came up.
Jeffrey Aima.
Picked Jerry up, and then I kind of just snuck behind Jerry to the corner, and luckily saw me and just hit it.
In the moment when that ball is leaving your hands, are you thinking about it, or is it just basketball?
It was just basketball at the moment, but like thinking back on it, it was like crazy. It was like a movie. Like right when the ball hit my fingers, it was dead silent. And then I released it. It was in slow motion, but it felt good. And it went in.
Did you know it was going in from the second it
I
left
knew
your
it
hands?
was going in. But it was just crazy afterwards because I didn't realize, like, I knew that the time was running out, but I didn't realize it until, like, after it went in. I was like, it's a game winner. Like, it was a great experience.
And Carson, it means more when you beat your rival, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, well, I wasn't part of that game because I was gone for a baseball tournament, but I had...
Where were you? Your baseball tournament?
yeah.
You missed the biggest victory of the...
I know, I was in Arizona for baseball. I had to get dragged down there, but I had, like, my friends live streaming it, and especially in the final seconds.
So you were watching it live?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was great to see that happen. I mean, Terrace, we've tried to beat them for varsity, like, the past bunch of years, and to finally beat them is just a great feeling. And, like, even not even being there, I was still, like, hyped in the hotel, like, in Arizona for the game winner, especially for Jayden.
So did you get a chance to talk to the guys that night, or what was the...
Yeah, I FaceTimed a couple of the guys, and I was just like, proud of you guys, and way to pull out the dub.
So you guys have had some big moments this year. I mean, beating Mountlake Terrace is a huge deal. You beat Lynnwood, which Lynnwood isn't supposed to beat Lynnwood, right, guys? So, I mean, I think we know Jayden's favorite moment of the year. Gabe, what about you? Do you have one so far this year?
That Stanwood game.
Yeah? What is it about beating Lynnwood that was so special?
That was the biggest crowd I've played in front of, and the noise level, it was amazing to be on that court with a crowd yelling towards us that were playing. And it was just great. It was...
You shocked the world, so to speak. When I saw the score that night, I was taken back by it. Were you guys at all surprised?
No.
You knew you were capable of beating them?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We go into every game thinking we're gonna win. I don't think there's any team that we've went in thinking, oh, we're gonna get blown out or anything.
And
At all.
seems to be working out so far for you guys too. Carson, talk a little bit about Friday night. Could potentially have been your last game ever at Lynnwood as a senior. There's still a chance you might have a playoff game there this week, but we're gonna not know that until probably Tuesday. What did that mean for you to step out on that floor and have the home crowd behind you one final time?
It meant a lot, just because it'll be like my last home basketball game ever in my career. So like it just meant a lot to go out there and get the dub with like fellow seniors, since we have 7 of them. Yeah, it was just a fun night.
Do you have a favorite moment from inside that gym?
Probably the Stanwood game, honestly, because how hyped everyone was and unbelievable the atmosphere we had there.
So we will see. And we mentioned it may or may not be your last game. You have one last game to play for the regular season, Monday night at Shorecrest. Should point out you guys are currently in the number 7 spot in the standings, and it's based on an RPI ranking. If you finish in 7th, good news is you get a home game on Thursday. The bad news is it's a play-in game to get to the district playoffs. So you're kind of wanting to avoid the home game in this case, because if you win that game, you could potentially move up to 6th, which would send you on the road, but it would also put you into the double elimination tournament. Jayden, how big of a game is this for you guys on Monday night?
I mean, every game we go into is huge, but this especially because this is my senior year and we've been working towards this for, I've been on varsity swinging since sophomore year, so I mean, this has always been a big goal for us, and we've talked about it, dreamed about it, so it's obviously a huge game for us.
Do you guys find yourselves watching the RPI rankings throughout the season? I mean,
Yeah, obviously we're always keeping an eye on it, checking us bounce from 4th to 5th to 6th to back and forth. But yeah, we've always kept our eyes on the RPI for sure.
And this was a Shorecrest team that was pretty senior heavy last year. So, Gabe, do you know this squad very well?
Oh yeah, I've played with a lot of them since 4th grade. So I know a lot of them. Some of them are their class, so I didn't play against them, but I know a couple of the guys well.
So if anybody's watching the video right now, Monday night, keys to the game, what do you guys need to do to get a victory?
Play hard. Just play our game.
Effort, yeah.
Just play Lynnwood basketball?
Play to our level. We always play to our opponent's level, never to our level, so just play to
Effort.
our level. Yeah.
And I'm looking at we already mentioned you guys are 7-6 in league play this year so far. You were 3-9 last year, and these numbers, I know they make you cringe a little bit. 4-8 the year before, 2-10 before that. They had a winless team 4 or 5 years ago. You guys are trying to leave your own piece of legacy there at Lynnwood. How much does that mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot because everybody doubts Lynnwood. We're always the ones who are losing, so it means a lot to prove everyone wrong and show them what we can do and what we're capable of.
Carson, do you second that? Do you guys kind of enjoy the underdog scenario?
Lynnwood forever has always been the underdog, and to come out like this year and make a statement to the league that, Lynnwood is here and we're not past Lynnwood teams and we just want to win.
And we should also mention fun team to play for. You guys enjoy being around each other. We
yeah.
talked to Jerry in the past.
Oh,
we talked to Coach.
Oh yeah, we love our guys.
We like everyone on our
Everybody
team
on our team
gels
gets
together,
together, yeah.
and we all have fun at practice.
And
A little too much.
Sometimes
It's
to the point where we have to run for
Yeah,
it,
a little
but
too much fun.
so we never did determine it. Has anybody beaten Bobby at ping pong or bowling?
No.
Is our coach?
Bobby is definitely the king of ping pong.
Coach is
Well,
not.
I'm not good at ping pong.
He'll forever hold that for sure.
Coach can hold on to that title
He
for a
can hold
while.
on to that title for yeah.
So what is a post game ritual for you guys? Do you have one or?
I want to say it's a ritual, but we go out to eat usually at Red Robin after games and stuff.
Okay. You allow yourselves to kind of gorge a little bit after a big basketball game,
Yes.
or win or lose, or do you guys kind of hold yourself up?
Win or
usually
lose.
win, but win or lose, obviously, yeah, we go out to eat.
it's just in the locker room. We're so who
It
wants
kind
to
of
go to Red
it
Robin?
depends. It depends on how we're feeling. If it's a tough loss, sometimes people aren't feeling the food. But if it's a good loss and we played hard, we still get food.
So are you guys bottomless fry guys? Is that?
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay? All
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
biggest answers we got.
Campfire.
Oh yeah, it's the campfire for us too.
And I know it's a little further away, but we might even try to get these guys out to Red Onion after a big win coming up here
yeah.
too. A little further drive, but nonetheless, it's still great food. So we talked about it. We're going into the playoffs this week and what that would mean. First of all, any thoughts in terms of District 1, 3A? What are you guys looking for a district tournament this year? What kind of a tournament do you think it's going to be? Everybody seems to already want to put Marysville-Pilchuck's name on the trophy, but
I mean, we compete with everyone. So when we played Pilchuck, it wasn't even a blowout game like that. So if they're putting Pilchuck on it, I mean,
It's going to
see,
be an
but
exciting
yeah, it's
district
gonna be-
regardless,
yeah,
right?
it's gonna be a lot of close
anything can
games.
happen. You know, we'll see when we get there.
Sure. So now, as far as the future, what does it hold for the two? I'll ask you guys first since you're the seniors on the squad. Carson, I know we just mentioned it a minute ago. You were at a baseball tournament down in Arizona. So are you, baseball's kind of the first love for you, right?
Yeah, baseball has always been something I've been playing my whole life. I mean, basketball has been too, but I've just been taking baseball more seriously throughout my life.
So what does the baseball season hold for you? Positions you play?
Pitcher and catcher for the high school team.
Okay, and then something you want to continue into college? Is that
Yeah, definitely. I've been looking at a bunch of colleges, so hopefully I can get to like the place where I want to go.
So is it one of those situations for you as soon as basketball's over?
Yeah, as soon as basketball over, it's just full on baseball, get back on the field and start throwing again.
Get ready to go. We expecting a good squad this year? What do we
Yeah,
think?
we're expecting a really good squad. We're going to make some noise this year and get back to where we were my freshman year and the year before that, where we went to state a bunch of times.
Yeah, the Royals have certainly had some success on the diamond over the last few years. Jayden, what about you? What's the future hold for you? Are you still trying to figure that out? Or
As of right now, I don't really have any plans, but definitely gonna try to make it into UW. Definitely.
okay, very good. Any idea what you might want to study? Or
I really.
You got some time.
Yeah, I got some time. To think. I don't really have a major that I'm trying to major in.
we're hoping you're going to be doing this basketball thing for a few
Yeah,
more
yeah,
weeks.
yeah,
So
for
that's
sure.
that's the plan anyway, right?
Yeah.
And now, Gabe, what about you? Only a junior, but
I mean, I got a whole nother year playing sports, so
you do indeed.
yeah.
Well, and let me ask you about that too. 7 seniors on the squad. The guys just mentioned that. What's the team looking like in the future? I mean, a lot of
Good
JV guys
question.
you're gonna have to rely on, right?
Yeah, so we got because there's 4 juniors. We've been playing together for a while, so we'll gel pretty good. Then we got 2 people that swing with us, a freshman and a sophomore, so they'll most likely be on varsity with us, and they're good. But the thing we're lacking will be height. Is Josh Siskar? That's gonna probably be our tallest guy, and he's 6'2".
If
6'1".
that, 6'1" maybe. We're probably the same height, 6'1". -ish.
Yeah.
He gets big, you know.
He gets boards, does what he needs to do.
So you, Josh, Edgar, Jordan, kind of the nucleus for that squad next year, and then hopefully some other guys will pop up and
Yeah.
help you guys out a little bit. But before we talk about next year, we are still focused on this year. So again, Monday night, tomorrow night, if you're watching this on Sunday, over at Shorecrest High School, it's a big game for these guys. So we certainly hope a lot of the folks from Lynnwood get out there and support them. And then again, we're keeping our fingers crossed that if all goes well, you guys won't be playing at home on Thursday night. Hoping that you guys will be on the road on Saturday. So stick around and stay tuned for that. We'll keep you posted on linwoodtoday.com. Guys, again, congratulations on a great season so far, and best of luck this week.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I'm sure glad that we had a lot of food in the studio this morning because those guys were ready.
Mentioned they like their burgers, and apparently they like their bagels as well.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. Always glad to help with that. So now we have playoffs coming up, right? Starting this week?
We do, yeah. And again, one more game to go, so there's still some things to be decided, but the playoff picture is kind of clearing up a little bit. I'll try to kind of keep this short and not confuse everybody, but really the top 10 teams will make the playoffs in each of the districts. Your top 6 automatically make it into the double elimination tournament. If you're 7, 8, 9, or 10, you have to play a 1-game loser-out play-in game this week, so you really want to stay out of that window there. Here's kind of what we're looking at right now. As far as Mountlake Terrace is concerned, I'll do both of them right away because they're a different animal. They go into the 2A district, so they don't even play our other schools. But the boys right now are in 3rd place, so they look like they're probably going to get a bye, actually, the way that the 2A is set up. So they're going to be playing more than likely on Friday night at home. Good chance right now, if things were to play out the way they are currently, they would play the winner of Seaholm or Cedar-Woolley, who will be playing later this week. So we will see what happens there. But again, Mountlake Terrace Friday night, their boys should be at home. Girls are going to be playing on the road, more than likely against Cedar Crest on Thursday. That's a loser-out game. Cedar Crest probably heavily favored in that one. So it might be the end of the season for the Terrace girls. And if they were to win, they'd be looking to hit the road on Saturday, maybe even going up to Linden. So it's going to be a tough road for them. Now, on the other side of things, for our 3 other schools, we'll talk about the boys first. Edmonds-Woodway currently in the number 5 spot, so they are going to be into the double elimination tournament. If they stay in the number 5 spot, which it kind of looks like they're pretty well trenched in there right now, they would be taking on the number 4 team, which is Stanwood. That would be up at Stanwood on Saturday. If they can somehow flip over them, they could get a home game on Saturday. But Edmonds-Woodway more than likely going to be on the road Saturday night to start their playoff season. And this is where things get a little bit tough for the other teams. Lynnwood is right now in the number 7 spot. So if things stay as they are right now, they would have to play a 1-game loser-out game on Thursday, more than likely at home, but we won't know until Tuesday. So they could be playing a game on Thursday. However, if they can win their game on Monday, which we talked about in that interview, they could leapfrog the team that's currently in 6th place, which is Shorewood, and that would put them into the tournament to where they wouldn't have to play again until Saturday on the road. So stay tuned for that. Meadowdale looks like they're going to have to play their way into the tournament. So more than likely a Thursday night game. As of right now, it would be a home game. If things stay as they are, they would play Shorecrest at home on Thursday night, 7 p.m. start time. So that would be a big one, and certainly they'd like to see some folks over at the stable to cheer them on and try to get them into the district playoffs. And then we'll cover the girls here real quick as well. Edmonds-Woodway girls also in the number 5 spot, much like the boys. So if things don't change, they would be heading up to Marysville-Getchell on Friday night. They move the dates around and toggle them a little bit so that they're not playing on the same night as the boys. So Edmonds-Woodway, it looks like they're going to start their district tournament action on Friday night, probably on the road. And then we go to the other side of the equation, and this one, it looks like it's almost a sure thing, but don't quote me on it. It looks right now like Meadowdale's going to finish in 8th, Lynnwood's going to finish in 9th. So those two girls' teams probably squaring off against each other on Wednesday night for one spot in the districts. Game more than likely will be at Meadowdale. And as we mentioned on our last segment, these two teams just played each other last week, and Meadowdale won that game by 16. So Mavericks will probably be favored, but it's more than likely going to be a matchup between those two teams, with one of them ending their season on Wednesday night. And the winner of that game would more than likely go up to Arlington on Friday to start off their district play. So a lot going on in terms of basketball, a lot of moving around and posturing for position and seeding, and we will certainly keep everybody up to date on the websites for My Neighborhood News and see where it goes.
Okay, very good. Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot to take in, right?
But you have a lot of choices if you enjoy high school basketball
You
to
could
support your teams.
Potentially be going to games Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week if you want to watch Edmonds School District boys and girls.
That's right. Okay, and we have swimming left to talk about?
We do, and this one's a little more clear-cut, so I won't confuse everybody on this one. The regional swimming action will take place next Friday and Saturday, and the athletes who qualify out of there will go on to the state championships down in Federal Way the following week. If you are a fan of Mountlake Terrace swimming, you're going to want to be up at the Fidalgo pool in Anacortes next Saturday night, as they will try to make their way over to the state championships. And if you're one of the other 3 schools, so Lynnwood, Meadowdale, or Edmonds-Woodway boys, you're going to want to be up at the Snohomish Aquatic Center. Again, the preliminaries on Friday night, the championships on Saturday night, and the swimmers who qualify out of that region will also head on down to Federal Way the following weekend.
Okay, wow. Well, thanks for catching us up on everything, and we will see you all next weekend. Have a great week, everybody.